Okay, folks, we are in Revelation chapter 21. Looks like we're going to be covering it for a little while. There are a number of things I want to look at to study in Revelation 21. We're going to start with verse 1 and 2, and we're reading from the King James as much as we can when we're in Revelation, and it goes like this. I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. This passage does not say he saw a bride in this verse. It says that he saw the city and she was adorned. And how was she adorned? As a bride. So when you go through the rest of what's being talked about, especially 3 and 4, you see some of the details of that ornamentation that you would have for a young lady getting married. The first thing we're going to take notice of is this new heaven and new earth. In verse 1, he said that he saw a new heaven and a new earth, verse 1 and 2. And he said that the first one was, watch this, passed away. The word passed away in that text can be seen, I think, as one of the best examples. It would be found in John 4, verse 3. So if you will put John 4, 3 out beside passed away, you will take notice what it means, because what's going on is your various teachers will use that passed away and they will pull all sorts of running around and not get the meaning of and the concept that's going on. I'm going to suggest to you that passed away means it went away from you. So here you have in John 4, 3, it says that Jesus left Judah and departed again into Galilee. So you can see that the idea is that the first heaven and the first earth parted, departed. It's no longer there. Jesus is no longer where he was standing, Judah, but instead he has left, he's gone, he's departed, he's passed away. That's the meaning behind that particular word. Now, new heaven and new earth is discussed in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. 2 Peter 3, verse 10. And here Peter is giving us the same concept, but what he does, he stacks one verb on top of the other that indicates the heaven and the earth that now is no longer going to be. And that's exactly what was meant in Revelation 21. It's passed away. It's departed. So in 2 Peter 3, verse 10, it says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away." Now that's a different Greek word. "With a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. And the earth also and the works therein shall be burned up." I think if you're reading a new version, some of it says that it shall be dissolved. As a matter of fact, it says dissolved 3 times within the context. So you have it say pass away. You have it here, or depart. Here you have pass away from the standpoint, and we shall again go to the scriptures to get an illustration. Look at Mark 6, 48. Mark 6, 48. This passage illustrates what that word means. Mark 6, 48 in the King James, "And he saw them toiling in rowing." That means the disciples were on the sea. "For the wind was contrary unto them, and about the 4th watch of the night, Jesus cometh unto them, walking upon the sea, and would have passed by them." They were rowing, and Jesus was going to pass by them. Therefore, when you put the two words together, They go like this. Jesus would pass by and would depart. Both of those words are used in the concept of the passing away, the departure, the going someplace else of the new heavens and the new earth. We take notice that Peter says the heaven passed by like Jesus moving past his disciples on the water. John says the first heaven and the first earth departed like Jesus departed from Judea. Both agree the first order of things, the first system of things, what you and I now live in, the first heaven and the first earth, our heaven, that it moves out of the picture. It's no longer a part of anything that we might see. That means it is dissolved. It's melted away. It's gone. Someone says, you're sure emphasizing that a lot. Yes, I am, because there are those who would deny that basic concept of the heavens and the earth that now are, that are material, that they believe that they are eternal or something close to that. The second thing we want to take notice of out of Revelation 21, especially verse 2, is that there is a new heaven and a new earth from God, and it is made ready. It is prepared. It is adorned. All three of those words would indicate that something has been accomplished. Something has been done. It didn't simply just pop up in the middle of the air, but instead there was preparation made. That's what we're looking at now. So in Revelation 21:10, and Revelation 21:10 has to be read in the light of verse 2. What do you mean? What I mean is that John has yet to call, and that doesn't mean he's not going to, or it's not. It just means he has yet to call the city the bride. He will. But when he introduced the bride in verse 2, he was talking about how she looked, how she was adorned, and that's the important part. Verse 2, verse 10. He carried me away in the spirit to a mountain great and high, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God. So here is the city, and we're going to be looking at the city. There's more to say about the city. And I would, first of all, indicate to you that it is within Scripture that this city is the reward of a heavenly city that awaits the faithful. That concept is not a surprise. Let's notice 4 passages in the book of Hebrews. First of all, Hebrews 11:10. There is the looking for a city as a reward. So we're not surprised in Revelation 21 if our reward is the city, the heavenly city, not the earthly city. Hebrews 11:10, for he looked for a city which foundation, whose builder and maker is God. It's not made with hands, is another way of saying it, which we talked about when we were discussing the fact that what we're reading about is not earthly. We went through that last week. Now look at verse 16, and we hear the same concept. And now they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city. Well, that's exactly what we read in Revelation 21. Prepared, made ready. Chapter 12, verse 22 of Hebrews. Chapter 12, 22. But ye are come unto Mount Zion, unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, to an innumerable company of angels. The angels are not on the earth. And this city is a heavenly city that he has in mind. The 4th passage out of Hebrews is found in Hebrews 13:14. And again, all these passages are saying that It's not a surprise that we've got a city, a heavenly city, as our reward. Hebrews 13:14, but here have we no continuing city, but we seek one to come. Now that's Paul, and he's in the kingdom, he's in the church, he's in the house of God. And he's saying, we're looking for a city to come. Now let's go back to Revelation 21, verses 1 and 2. Let me be sure that we understand what I'm trying to communicate as I have studied chapter 21, 22, which may be different than somebody else. What I'm trying to say is, in Revelation chapter 17, John talked about the harlot and the city, and it was destroyed. He talked about, I will show you the judgment of the harlot. Here, he's talking about the reward of the faithful. That's not surprising. Now, when he talked about the harlot, we know that he's talking about the earthly harlot, which would be apostate Jerusalem. Apostasy in the eyes of God is not helpful to your soul. But now those who are still on the earth, who are in Judea, what's going to happen to them if they are faithful unto God, or those that have fled unto the mountains? What's going to happen to them? Some of them may die. All of them will die one day. All of us will die one day. And you just have the two options before you. And I will say it again, hell is optional. It's up to you. God's done everything in the world to try to save your soul. And if you don't care, he's going to know that in judgment, and he's going to know that before. But there are those in the first century and since the first century and before the first century, they want to live forever. We talked about the elixir. We talked about the fountain of youth last week. Men striving with everything on the earth to live forever. And John tells you how to live forever. And he tells those in the first century that it's a glorious, magnificent, precious, beautiful place. This earth has some beauty in it. And all it can do is take the things of the earth to help us to see the spiritual heavenly city. And that is what's going on in Revelation 21 and 22. And he calls attention to the adornment. That's what's meant. That beauty, that preciousness, that gloriousness that God has awaiting for the faithful children of God. Now, whenever you look at verse 3 and 4, you see some details concerning that adornment. And when you continue throughout the rest of chapter 21 and 22, you see an exposition of what he's talking about when he talks about the city promised unto his people. The adorning is not decoration. It's the conditions that characterize the city. Now you have two words in verse 2. I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, made ready, prepared, says one version, a bride adorned for her husband. And that's what we've been trying to say. It is a place prepared. But it's not a place prepared at the last minute. It's a place that has been prepared and pictured. Typology. Typology. It's not new to God. It talks about a new heaven and a new earth, but it's not new to God. And now John has been assigned as the penman to help us to see what awaits us when we live through this life faithful Not perfect, but faithful. We take notice that God is the one that adorned the city. God is the one that built the city. Here I am in Exodus chapter 25. You can just listen to this if you would like and write down the concepts. I'm in verse 9 and again in verse 40. And Moses is told by God, according to all that I show thee, the pattern of the tabernacle. The pattern of the tabernacle, by the way, the pattern of the tabernacle is what was how the temple was built. The pattern of the tabernacle of all of the furniture thereof, even so shall ye make it. Verse 40. And see that thou make them after their pattern, which hath been shown thee in the mount. I have given you specific instructions. Why? One of the things that God would build would be the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle. The holies of holies, the Holy of Holies, is a cube. Where have you heard of a cube in studying the book of Revelation? Revelation 21. The city is a cube. Who's in the cube in heaven in Revelation 21? God is. He's the temple. What do you have in the earthly tabernacle that is built according to the pattern that God has already made clear that something's coming? And it's going to have something of the look of the Holy of Holies. One of the things it has is God's presence. And God is trying to tell everybody, don't be surprised. I've been planning this and preparing this for centuries for you. I need to also bring your attention to Hebrews chapter 8, verse 5, so that you can see how that there is a connection between, in the mind of God, not simply in what I'm saying. In verse 5, he says, they would serve that which is a copy and the shadow of heavenly things. There's more to that, but I want to get down to Revelation 21:6. Revelation 21:6. He said unto me, they are come to pass, they have occurred. I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning, and the end. And in this particular case, there's some things that have occurred. And that would be the holy city has been prepared. Why do I say that? Because the Alpha and the Omega is the one who built it. And he's the one who told us about it. And he's the one who's telling us about it in Revelation 21:22. We now look at some passages that would certainly indicate that heaven is prepared for the saints. Heaven is prepared for the saints. And it did not start in the first century. We took notice of Exodus. We now take notice of Matthew 25, verse 34. What you read in Matthew chapter 25 of the second coming of Christ as he would sit on his throne of glory, and he would separate the nations on the left and on the right, those that are righteous, those that are unrighteous. And that's the only two groups. There's not a third. I'm not talking about babies. I'm not talking about those who do not have the capability, cognitive capabilities. We're talking about people who have the ability to think and to determine right from wrong, good from evil. And so he would part them and separate them and divide them, the left from the right, the good from the evil. Come, he would say, verse 34, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. I need to also take notice while we're looking at this passage that hell is also a place prepared. Verse 41, Jesus would say to those on his left, "Depart from me, ye cursed, into the eternal fire, which is prepared for the devil and his angels." He says to the angels, he says to those nations that are before him, "You're cursed. You have turned your back on everything godly. You do not like God. You do not love God. You do not want God. I'm going to grant you your wish, but you don't know what you wish for." And so he would tell them, "I prepared a place for those who are the devil, and his angels. That's the place you'll go." In chapter 14 of John, probably a more known passage than a lot of others, John 14, verse 2 and 3, lets us know that the Son would prepare. Oh, wait a minute, Ron, you said it was already prepared. What this passage is telling you is that he says, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. But I go to prepare a place for you." He's talking individually here. "If I go and prepare a place for you, I come again, that I may receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also." So the Son is a part of that preparation. Now we turn to Revelation 21, verse 2, and we heard the passages say that the place is prepared. Now, the figure that is carrying all of this concept that we've been discussing concerning prepare, I call your attention to it yet again. It's found in Revelation 21, verse 2. The bride is adorned and she is made ready. Notice with me Revelation 21, verse 7. It's a highly important passage. We took notice in Hebrews that they look for a city to come. So the Revelator writes, he that overcometh what they were going through at that time, in that lifetime, and they had to overcome those things, and some of them did. He that overcometh shall inherit these things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. Revelation 21, verse 24, the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of God. King James, your modern version, some of them will not use, is saved. Verse 27, there shall in no wise, no, not at all, enter into it anything that defileth, neither whosoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie. Then he puts it in a positive and he says, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. I shall pause for a moment or two and see if you have any questions or any comments that you would like to add to what is being said. Maybe you need a clarification. I'll be glad to aim at it. Revelation 21, verse 2, yet again. And we're going to compare it with verse 9 and 10. And here's the point that I'm going to try to make. The bride is distinct from the structure. The bride, in my judgment, is not the structure. Now, there are those who would say that the city is the bride is the city. I understand why they would say that. But I'm going to suggest to you there's the distinction between the two of them. And in verse 2, I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God, a bride adorned for her husband. Well, Ronnie just called Jerusalem a bride. No, not in that passage. He said the city was adorned. That's what he just said. And the city is adorned like a bride. Now you know why he might use bride in this context by the very first verses. In verse 9 and 10, and there came unto me one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials full of the seven plagues. If you will read and remember Revelation chapter 17, one of those angels would talk about the judgment of the harlot. Here, it's a discussion of the beauty, the preciousness, and the godliness of the city. And he talked with me, saying, come hither, I will show thee the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great high mountain and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. Now, someone would conclude, and I would not blame them for doing this. He said he was going to show the bride, and he did show the city. Therefore, the bride is the city is the bride. I understand you thinking that. I'm going to hope that I can lead you in another direction that's still biblical, godly, and good. In verse 9, I will show thee the bride. In verse 10, he showed him the city. What was in the city? The bride. So when you are standing there with John on the mountain high, and you look at the city, in the city, you see the bride. He's able to show the city and the bride. And he's emphasizing the bride is the one that is enjoying the reward that the city offers. And this city, there is no city on the earth that comes even close to this city. It is magnificent. It is majestic. It is glorious. My words can't do it justice. And John understands that his words cannot do it justice. You're comparing things on this earth to things that are heavenly. They just can't compare. Here is why I draw a distinction between the bride in the city and the structure of the city. First of all, Revelation 21:24. And the nations of them which are saved, the bride, shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. What are the nations of men doing? They're walking on the streets of gold. Are they walking on themselves? Are they walking on the bride? They're walking in the precious and glorious city, and they are a part of the bride. Look at chapter 21, verse 6 and 7. And he said unto me, they are come to pass. I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning of the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit these things. I will be his God. He shall be my son. You will take notice that what is a part of the city is the water. It comes from the throne of God. The throne is a part of the city, and the water comes flowing, and you partake of the city as the city. That's why I draw a distinction between the bride, you and me, when we have our reward in heaven, and the city itself. Now, there is a tremendous point behind the fact that you're drinking of the water. Besides this distinction, But right now we're honing in and we're looking at simply the distinction between the bride and the city, and we're getting to see both of them. In the same vein, in chapter 22, verse 1, he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God. You see that same concept in verse 17 of chapter 22, if you'd like to turn to that verse. Revelation 22:17. The Spirit and the bride say, Come. Let him that heareth come, and let him that is athirst come, and whosoever will come. Let him drink of the bride. No, drink of the water of life freely. So you have the inhabitants of the city as the bride, and they are partaking of and carrying on action in the city. They are not the city itself, it seems to me. We now turn our attention to Revelation 22, verse 2, and it's the same concept as you just read. But here in this verse, verse 2, in the midst of the street of it, by the way, chapter 21, verse 21 speaks of the street of heaven. They're walking on that street. Well, here's the street again. On either side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits and yield her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations, the maintaining of the nations. We're now looking at chapter 22, verse 3, next verse. And there shall be no curse, but the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. Who are his servants? The bride. And they're going to serve him in the city. Again, a distinction I think is made. Chapter 22, verse 5, we've taken notice of this by reading. God giveth them light, and there should be no night there in the city. They need no candle in the city, neither light of the sun. He's adding the words in the city. For the Lord God giveth them light. Well, if they are the city, they are the light. They're not the city. They are in the city, and they're enjoying the water, the leaves, the tree, and the light in the city. Chapter 22, verse 14. Chapter 22, verse 14. And there shall be no night there. They need no candle, neither light. Verse 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. If you're the bride outside the city, you're the bride inside the city. Revelation 21:27, there shall in no wise enter into it anything that is ungodly, but those whose names are written. In Revelation 22:19, there is an in and an out of the city. Revelation 22:17, and the Spirit and the bride say, Come. And let him that heareth say, Come. And let him that come, that is athirst, whosoever will, let him take of the water of life freely. What John has done, and we're going to look much closer at it, what John has done at the end of the book is mentioned coming 4 times. This is a part of those 4 times. It's the 3rd time he mentions it. But here in this passage, he says, God is inviting you. The Lamb is inviting you. The Holy Spirit is inviting you. And the bride is inviting you. God is holding out an invitation for all men. But not all men love God. Not all men want to serve God. Not all men want to live forever with God. Oh, yeah. They want to avoid hell, but they don't care about God. But John is telling us in Revelation 21 and 22, for those that love God, there is a glorious, glorious beginning to the end of life. I have come across a saying that I like, and it goes like this: goodbye till forever. When people leave this life, we say goodbye. When they are Christians and we are faithful children of God, that goodbye is only until forever. And then when forever comes, we shall forever be in heaven with God and with those that love God. We will avoid, listen to me, we will be able to avoid those who are of the wicked of the earth. There are some wicked people on this earth. We know where they're going to be. We know where the faithful are going to be, who have been forgiven because they've had their robes made white and washed in the blood of the Lamb.